Stories. Subscribe and support Indie Thought.
Natyam in India, that is Bharat, is not just an entertainment or pleasurable activity. Natyam is a divine art form. It has a well-defined purpose and a comprehensive structure. Bharatanatyam has thousands of years of legacy, yet majority of the people in India do not know what it really is. This podcast from Prana Stories is an attempt to bridge the gap, and who else better than Srimati Sheela Chandrashekar to help us navigate through the fundamentals of this age-old art form. Srimati Sheela Chandrashekar is the disciple of Guru Bhi Bhanumati and is the director of Bhanumati Nrityakala Mandiram that imparts Bharatanatyam training to hundreds of students. She is also a visiting faculty at the Department of Performing Arts, Jain Deemed-to-be University. Srimati Sheela was a top-ranking Gold Medallist of the postgraduate program in dance at the Bangalore University, and she has travelled across the globe for countless performances, workshops, and lecture demonstrations. Listen in to this insightful Bharatanatyam 101 podcast, brought to you exclusively by Prana Stories. Sheela ma'am. It's an honor to have you associated in the first series of Prana Stories podcasts. It's really an honor to have you.
It's my privilege and pleasure that you thought about me for this.
It all it's like it's a divine intervention that happens.
Absolutely.
Right? When I thought about it, I came for the show and then I spoke to you and then it just happened. It's just a flow that happens. It's so wonderful. So I have been your student. I have been Guru Bhanumati's student. But in general, like who is Sheela Chandrashekar? So it would be good that if you can just tell a little bit of yourself, so that how did you dance, how the journey of your dance began, where did you start, and how is it going? Just a little bit of your journey.
Okay. Actually, it was my mother's desire that I should learn dance, because during her times when she was young, she wanted to learn dance. ತುಂಬ ಆಸೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅವ್ರ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಾದರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ಸೆಡ್ ಡಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗುಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಆಸೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ದೆನ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಶಿ ಗಾಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೇಮ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಹರ್ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹೌಸ್, ಶಿ ಪುಟ್ ಮೀ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೈ ಸಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಬೋತ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಡಾನ್ಸಿಂಗ್. ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ 6 years old when I started learning dance. Initially, I learnt under one Madam Krishnaveni in Mysore. I was born in Mysore. So ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ವೆಂಕಟ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಮ್ಮ ಅವರ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಶಿಷ್ಯೆ ಗುರು ಕೃಷ್ಣವೇಣಿ. I learnt under her for about 2 to 2.5 years. And ಅಲ್ಲಿ it was like the Mysore style, because it was Venkata Lakshmama's disciple. And then when I was about 9 years old, I shifted to Bangalore. And there I joined Guru V.S. Kaushik's dance school, Sanatana Kalakshetra. He was actually a disciple of Nanjangud style. But then he had introduced in his school teachers from Kerala Kalamandalam. So because probably he felt the basics need to be stronger than the style which he was imparting. So we had a lot of teachers from Kerala to train us in basics. So between my Mysore training and the Bangalore training, I would say in Mysore, within the short span of 2.5 years, I learned some not less than 20 compositions, when I was just 6 or 7 years old. All most of them Kannada, and because this Mysore Jati that has become so famous now, that was my first dance which I learned under Krishnaveni ma'am when I was hardly 6 years old. And there were not too many adavus with them. in the Mysore Shaili, and so a lot of dances I had learned. So the Adavu's importance ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು I learned only after I came to Kaushik sir. I learned there again for 3 years. 3 years, and in Mysore when I learned, it was 3 days a week class for about 1.5 hours every day. And Ali, being in that range, I learned some 20 different compositions, starting with Mysore Jati, Alaripu, two Jati Swaras, and then empty number of Devarnamas. And it was a different experience, very beautiful. I used to love going to dance class. I would never miss a class for anything. And and then when I came to Kaushik sir, I realized how much I don't know about the Adavus, because teachers from Kalamandalam, they were like taskmasters. Yav thara taskmasters, and if they felt our Aramandi was even a little less, they would throw the stick at our ankles. You know, that kind of a training, which was like a total contrast to what I learned in Mysore. But that's where I realized fundamentals are so important. And there I used to go 6 days a week class. Only Saturday was the day off, and 6 days a week, only 2 hours every day. And some of us who were very flexible, he was training us for doing the 108 Karanas alli kelavu very difficult ones are there, like Gangavatarana or Chikavalla, where you need to touch the leg to the head, and then you have to do somersault. There are some Karanas. The final 8 Karanas, they are a bit acrobatic. The Karanas of Natya Shastra, I mean. So for that, we were 2 or 3 of us who were very flexible, and so he was training 2 or 3 of us for that. So for that, we used to go in the early mornings, between 5:45 and 7:45, before going to school.
Wow.
So it was like 9 sessions in a week I would be going to class.
Wow.
So 3 sessions in the morning, 3 days a week, and 6 days a week dance class. With all this, I learned Adavus. I was trained to do just the Adavus, and then one Alaripu, one Chatiswara, and one Natana Madinar Bas. That's it. So it was a total contrast of training for me, from that Mysore Shaili to this, where I learnt under Kaushik sir. And after he passed away, I was at crossroads again, because I used to be very afraid of Kaushik sir. So afraid that I had told my mother, enough of dance for me. I don't want to dance anymore. I was in 8th, 9th standard or something like that. I said, why should I dance? Then,
because of the strict discipline?
Yeah, because I used to be so scared. I used to be so happy to go to Krishnavani ma'am's class in Mysore, because she was very friendly, and she would teach us, make us happy and all that. But here they were taskmasters, including Kaushik sir. Once in a way, he would come and take classes for us. Taskmasters. And so, and after that, I said, I don't want to go. When I came to 8th standard, I said, I don't want to go. My mother said, are you mad? You've been learning. And then divine intervention again. I happened to see Bhanu ma'am's program in one of the Mahila Samaja function benefit show. Adralli, the president of that Mahila Samaja was my aunt's friend, who sold the tickets for us, and I went to see. And then my aunt and my mother, they said, do you want to join? After seeing that, I said, yes, I want to join back. So I had a gap of about a year or something like that. Then after that, I joined Bhanu ma'am, and there was no looking back. After that, it was like a continuous journey. It was almost like a Gurukula for us, for me, after I got married. And you're seeing me now.
Yeah. Ma'am, so there are so many questions from this little conversation. So before going there, the audiences will need to know what are we really talking about in terms of what is Bharatanatyam. Because people have seen Bharatanatyam as a, kind
The
of
glamorous
the
kind of
glamorous
dance.
some esoteric kind of, you wear a costume and then you
Yes.
do your eye movements and head movements, and and that is what Bharatanatyam is. But it'll help for the audience to know what actually Bharatanatyam is, from where it originate from, and a little bit of a touch upon this history of it, the foundations of it. You used certain terms like adavus, you used jatiswara and all that. So um, for a fact know that what are adavus, but for a general audience,
Mhm.
what are they? So if you can just touch upon a little on those, it'll be nice for the audience to understand.
Okay. So, from what we are seeing now, we have 7 or 8 classical dance forms of India, which we know includes one of them being Bharatanatyam. But all these are rooted to our Natya Shastra, which was written by Bharata Muni.
Hmm.
And this Natya Shastra is actually supposed to have been taken from Natya Veda, which was created by Brahma by taking extracts of all the 4 Vedas,
Hmm.
which includes the words, the emotions, the music, and the Angikas, everything.
Hmm.
I'm being very general.
Hmm.
And from this, the history goes on to say this was created mainly because the Vedas were not being understood by common people.
Hmm.
Common people could not understand Vedas, so there was a lot of other. So those who follow Vedas will be able to follow the path of Dharma. And when Vedas were not being followed by a lot of people who couldn't understand, the rest of them saw that adharma was on the rise. So all the devas and Bhusuras, they went to the creator Brahma and requested him to create a Veda which will be understood by everybody. That's when Natya Veda came up, and from that Bharata Muni wrote Natya Shastra, which was an audio-visual presentation of transferring a topic to the one who is watching. It was more easy than reading of the Vedas and trying to absorb.
Hmm.
So that's how this Natya Shastra was written by Bharata Muni, explaining the techniques of this audio-visual art form.
Lord Shiva is considered to be the god of dance,
Yes.
the Natarajar.
Yes.
So where does Shiva come into this picture?
Here, what they say is when Brahma created Natya Veda, taking the extracts from all the 4 Vedas, and gave it to Bharata.
Hmm.
Bharata, in turn, created 100 sons,
Hmm.
and they were taught this.
Okay.
And when they enacted this, they found that the grace element was missing because they were all sons.
Hmm.
They were all male patras.
Hmm.
So they included 24 apsaras.
Hmm.
So the female aspect also was introduced into this dance when Bharata was teaching.
Hmm.
And then here when Bharata approached, Shiva is supposed to have introduced the Tandava aspect
Hmm.
to the dance, and Parvati is supposed to have introduced the Lasya aspect to the
Okay.
dance that we have now.
Hmm. Hmm. And so I've also read a lot about Lord Shiva's cosmic dance,
Yes.
which which gave into the form of Lord Nataraja,
Mhm.
which is a very unique piece of posture that he takes in that sculpture. Which we see as the Nataraja Murti that is there in in terms of the idols and things that we see it in temples and many artifacts and all that. So the cosmic dance of Shiva, I've sort of learned from different books and even different other podcasts that the cosmic dance was done in Chidambaram, if I am right. So, do you know anything about that? Like, how did that happen, and
Yeah.
why did that happen?
Yeah. See, earlier days we had rishis, munis who could travel through Bhuloka, Swargaloka, everywhere. And of course, Shiva was a resident of the Kailasa. And the two rishis, Vyagrapada and Patanjali, they are supposed to have witnessed the dance of Shiva in Kailasa itself. And when they witnessed, they felt this is something that people in the Bhuloka also should witness. And they are supposed to have requested him to come to the Bhuloka. And Shiva chose this place, Chidambaram,
Hmm.
to dance
Hmm.
and show his cosmic dance.
Okay. So that's how the history of being the Natarajar, I mean that the
In
form
Chidambaram.
in Chidambaram came
Chidambaram.
about. So
There are many deeper aspects to it, whereas there are Shiva in 5 different places of our country, each attaching to one of the Panchabhutas, where the Chidambaram is supposed to be attached to the Vayu element, wind.
Okay.
But there are other places which are attached to other.
Chidambaram, is it Vayu or ether? I think it's the sky. I think
It is Akasha.
Akasha. It is the sky,
Akasha,
because it is
sorry.
Chitambaram, Ambaram,
Yeah,
right?
it's Akasha. No.
Yeah. So then once it got transferred to humans, like Bhuloka, like as you said, it got evolved into a classical art form.
Yes.
And it had a discipline to be followed.
Yes.
So can you talk about a little bit of the aspects of Bharatanatyam? Like, how is it practiced? What are the things that are integral to Bharatanatyam as a form? Like, how does one learn Bharatanatyam in terms of, there is a structure to it?
Yes.
So how does, and once you learn that structure, is it that you should remain in that structure, or can you break away from that structure? Is it so rigid that you should only do that, or are you free enough to experiment with many things? There are so many questions there.
Okay. See, Bharatanatyam. See, like after Bharata Muni brought this Natya Shastra, and Shiva taught this aspect, Parvati taught this aspect, and then they say, then Parvati taught Usha, the daughter of Banasura, the whole aspect, and then that she is supposed to have brought it to the Bhuloka.
Okay.
From there, then regional, regionally it has evolved. That's how I think we have all the different classical art forms. That is Kathakali and Mohiniyattam from Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Bharatanatyam, Odissi from Odisha, and all that. Kathak from the North India, Uttar Pradesh. So all the other, I mean to say, each one developed in its own regions.
Right.
And Bharatanatyam, when we come specific, earlier it was by the Devadasis, it was a temple dance. It was restricted to only temples, where all people would gather and watch the dancer, and these dancers were dedicated to the temples, and the upacharas which were going on in the temple, they would be part of that.
So it was offered as a service to the god?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much.
Okay.
In fact, they are supposed to be wedded to the god of that temple.
Okay.
So these artists were patronized by the kings then.
Yeah.
Right? And when the British rule came in, this they stopped this system because they didn't want crowds to get together, so that they can, so that rule was brought where the crowds will not be able to get together. At that point, this Devdasi, the dance, everything like went on a decline.
Mm.
But in the early 20th century, it was brought back again by so many, legendary,
Mm.
hardworking, who visionaries, I would say,
Mm.
who brought it back in the 20th century. And from there on, I think Bharatanatyam has like not looked back till now. And when it actually started in the 20th century, it was the Tanjore Quartet who actually designed this format that we have now. Tanjore Quartet meaning they are the Nattuvanars of the Tanjore Palace then.
Okay.
They designed the Margam format that we have. It's called a Margam format.
What is a Margam?
Margam is where you, a student of dance, first she or he learns to do the Bhumi Namaskara, where, you ask for forgiveness to the Bhumi Tai, because you're going to stamp on her and hurt her. So you ask her to excuse you. And then you learn the Adavus. Adavus are the basic steps. Before that, there are Vyayamas which help you to, make your muscles in the body flexible. And then you start with the Adavus, which starts with the flat foot. And then you go on to, raising of the heel. Then tapping only of the heel. Each one of these has different names. And then these adavus are about, these adavus varies from school to school. And then in Bharatanatyam itself, there were some basically 3 banis that were there then.
What is a bani?
Bani is a style, which was created by that Natvanar of that region.
Okay. And
like
what are those 3 styles?
Yeah, for example, Tanjore quartets, it was called the Tanjore Bani, Tanjavur Bani. And then there was this, they were I think one of the earliest, other than Pandanallur Bani, which is what Kalakshetra, the Chennai Kalakshetra school is following. And then you have what is called Vaduvur Bani. Vaduvur Bani was started by Vaduvur Ramaya Pillai. So each one had their own, all of them are Bharatanatyam style. Other than that, of course, we have the Karnataka Bharatanatyam style. And there was a lot of exchange that was happening between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, meaning Mysore Devacharya, all these people from Karnataka, from Odayar's palace would go, go to visit the palace of Tanjavur. And lot of these Tanjore quartet that I said, they would come to Mysore, and they would teach the artists here. These people would go teach the artists there. That's why yesterday I just came across, was at a performance where they did Suladi Nritya. Suladi Nritya is basically the Haridasas of our Karnataka. They created the Suladi Sangita. The music part of Suladi was created by our Sangita Pitamahas and the Dasas of our
in this region.
But then they were also taught to people in Tanjavur. Because Kittappa Pillai also was teaching Suladi, and just yesterday I got to witness that.
Okay.
So there was a lot of exchange between. So the people who say no, Bharatanatyam is originated in Karnataka.
Yeah.
Then Tamil Nadu people say no, Bharatanatyam originated in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's not right, I feel.
So it's I think it's also that there was no Karnataka or Tamil Nadu.
Exactly. So Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, everything was like one.
Yeah.
But then there was a lot of exchanges between the palaces, kings and artists of that time, where the the pandits would go to come to this palace to teach the artists here their style, and this scholars would go to that palace to teach this style to them. So that's how there's a this okay. So these are some of the banis I said. Mysore, Karnataka. Within Karnataka, we have 4 styles. One is Mysore style, which was made famous by Dr. K. Venkatalakshmama, who was a court dancer in Mysore Maharaja Wadayar's palace.
Okay.
Under whom our ma'am Bhanumati learnt directly.
Right.
She was also a from the Devadasi family.
Hmm.
And after that, that is Mysore style, and then there is Nanjangud style, and then there is Kolar style, and then there is Mugur style. There are 4 styles within Karnataka. This developed according to the teachers or gurus of that place. So they had their own typicalities. Similarly, Tamil Nadu, you had Tanjavur style, Pandanallur style, and Vazhavur style. Each one had their own typicalities. Like for Pandanallur style, it was more of Samabhangi and Dribhangi. Whereas in Vazhavur style, you would find even Tribhangis, Utplavanas, Brahmaris, more like that. So
So
and
you
even
mean to
the
say
Adavus,
the physical form of how they do it are different? Are the differences in the way the
Adavus
the
executed.
physical
Yes.
the movements of it are
Yes.
different?
Yes, yes.
Are even the expressions are also different in that way?
It's only about the Adavus I'm talking.
It was
So,
only the Adavus.
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, execution of Adavus may be different. Like, for example, for Tayyataihi, we do both hands like Yataihi. Whereas Vazhavur style, they do Tayyataihi.
Okay,
One hand is held like that.
Right.
So, that way. So, little differences like that would be there. And so, Margam is when once you complete the Adavus, you start off with the basic composition that's called Alaripu, which includes more of the body movements, including the eyes, eyebrows, neck, hand, shoulder, then the upper body, and then the legs. And then you go on. That doesn't have a musical element added to it. Basically, nowadays they do. There's a music added to it as a background. And then next will be a Jatiswaram, where there is a musical element to it, and then next is a Shabdam, which is having both Abhinaya and Nritta aspects. And then you have a Varnam, which is by far the most challenging piece with regards to stamina, with regards to the Nritta, with regards to the Abhinaya, everything. And then second half, this forms the first half of Margam. Second half generally has more emphasis on Abhinaya, and which will include maybe Ashtapadi or a Padam and a Javli and a Devanama. Mysore style, they include a shloka at this point. And then, of course, finally it ends with the Tillana, which is again completely Nritta piece.
So when you say Nritta, it is the physical rhythmic movements.
Nritta, yes.
And when Abhinaya, it means the emotions that are emoted by the dancer.
Not just that. Abhinaya actually means carrying one subject forward to the Sahridaya. Sahridaya is the audience. Why are they called Sahridayas? Because you meet them and you connect with them. That's why they are called Sahridayas, audience. So,
basically storytelling.
So, this Abhinaya is taking the subject forward. So, Abhinaya means it includes technically 4 aspects. One is Angika Abhinaya, where you convey the story through your body. For example, when you want to say Rama, you hold this hasta. When you want to say Shiva, you hold this hasta. And when you want to say come, you do this. When you want to say go, you do that. Right? That is Angika Abhinaya. And then then there is Aharya Abhinaya. That's about the costume. So in Bharatanatyam is basically a Ekaharya, where you wear just one costume to represent different characters through your Satvika, which I will tell what it is. Otherwise, when in a dance drama, actually the dance per se in Natya Shastra does not talk about the solo Bharatanatyam of today. Yeah, it talks about the dance drama, which is called the Natya. That's what's called Natya Shastra. Because it involves the theatrics as well and music. So they say Geetam Vadyam Tata Nrityam iti Sangeetam Uchite. So music included, Geeta, Vadya, and Nritya. That is the song, the music, and the dance
Dance
together
itself.
is called.
Hmm.
And in Natya, you have music, dance, and drama.
Hmm.
Everything is included.
So it was
in Natya.
always a group performance?
Yes, it is. From there, the today's Bharatanatyam has evolved.
Okay. Interesting.
Meaning, see, like dance dramas like Bhagavata Mela, Kuchipudi, and even Yakshagana, Kathakali,
Hmm.
they are all the Natya formats which are actually described in the Bharata's Natya Shastra.
Hmm.
From these Natyas, the solo from the Kuchipudi dance drama tradition, the Kuchipudi solo evolved.
Hmm.
From the Bhagavata Mela dance drama tradition, the Bharatanatyam evolved because ಆಯಾ regional ಬರುವಂಥ
Hmm.
ಇದು. So from the Kathakali, the Mohiniyattam solo
Hmm.
has evolved. ಆ ಥರ like even yeah, these are the basic things. So Natya as in Natya includes everything. So we were talking about Angika,
Hmm.
and then I told about Aharya. Aharya, so in this Natya, when we are talking about dance drama, there are so many characters. So you dress according to the characters.
Yeah.
So when you want to say Ravana, you wear the Ravanas. When we are showing it in Angika, we show like this.
Yeah.
But whereas, and for Rama, we show like this. But when you're actually wearing the Rama's dress, you can just come like this.
Stand like
So the Aharya itself conveys.
Hmm.
And then there is Vachika. Vachika is the words that convey the meaning. Okay, like when you say Ra, 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 Rajivalochana, Rama. So the words say, oh come, oh lotus-eyed Rama. And then there is the most important, that is Satvika. That is the emotions through which you convey.
Okay.
So the Abhinaya,
itself
as in
is
say,
got
itself is got
so many aspects to it.
involved with involves these things. So the Angika, the body movement, by the Satvika and Angika carry the maximum conveying, and Aharya and Vachika, they support these
Support
two.
it. Okay.
So when you say come, if you just say come, to say come, so from you feel the emotion of saying, hey come here, or hey come here, you go. If you just say go without any feeling, it is just action. But when you say go,
Yeah, the subtle difference that
yeah,
you make.
so with the feeling, that is the Satvika or the emotions that go along with the Vachika and Angika.
Yeah. Also, but Bharatanatyam uses the Vachika of the music, of the literature in the music. But Bharatanatyam doesn't use speech on the stage. Or was it used before? Or did it evolve
No, say during the Devadasi time, it was like this, dancers themselves would sing and dance.
Oh, okay.
And the instruments would just follow, because they used to have audiences all around. They would dance for audience 360 degrees, and the musical instruments would follow the dancer behind wherever she went. They would themselves sing and dance. Later on, when it moved to from temples to then palaces and then to the proscenium stage,
it evolved without having
to music,
and without having even speech on stage.
Speech is a part of, actually, even now in Kuchipudi and even Yakshagana, you're seeing it's there. But nowadays people are bringing that. I mean, today's generation, I'm seeing that people are bringing
speech into it?
Speech into the dance dramas that they do.
Oh, okay. So
or they even include commentary, especially when you go to countries like America. They don't understand our language. Also a lot of people, very well-known dancers also, they have kind of along with the music, they even give commentary. Probably you could call that Vachika nowadays. But
okay,
yeah, like the Margam format did not have Vachika.
Okay.
Vachika by the dancer herself.
Okay.
Vachika was limited to the vocalist. That would
So
suit for the question.
so coming back to the same question I had asked, so the Margam was set by these
Tanjore quartet
Tanjore
people.
quartet, and they said that Margam. My question is, are you? Is it very rigid, or are you allowed to experiment beyond that?
I think Bharatanatyam has that scope
Hmm.
to experiment
Okay.
within the boundaries given.
Within the Margam, you mean?
Not Margam.
Okay.
I mean, see, there is a what you can call artistic liberty.
Hmm.
You draw a line. You draw a boundary for that. I mean, each one's boundary is different. I have to say that.
Hmm.
You can explore a lot of topics in Bharatanatyam
Hmm.
because it has that kind of vast way of expressing.
Okay. Hmm.
So yeah, you could do social themes.
Hmm.
Margam doesn't talk about social themes,
Okay.
but you could do social themes. You could do contemporary themes. Everything can be done in Bharatanatyam. Is my feeling.
Okay. Okay. And the general perception of Bharatanatyam is that, I mean, whatever I have heard from general people around it, that it is very rigid. It is very, you have to be very disciplined, and then only you can learn. You have to dedicate so many years of your life, or if you're a small child, you have to really spend a lot of time to actually go on stage and be a dancer, things like that. So that's why my question was, the discipline of Bharatanatyam takes years to practice, to even to learn the adavus and to get there.
Yes.
How do you in today's world of reels and short content and things like that, the kind of students that come to you, or the people who sort of try to approach you in terms of being a student, what do you tell them? I mean, they can come to you and saying, in 1 year's time, or probably in 1 month's time, my daughter or I need to go on stage. So what is it that, how do you handle that situation?
We say it's not possible. Because see, but I know there are schools who do this, within a month's period, they put the children on stage. That's because of the lifestyle today. Earlier days when we were learning, we never had that, the only urge we had was to go learn. And just attending classes would give us so much happiness. But after all, like they say, this art is for, performance and for projection. Everybody will have that desire to show their art outside. So, but Bharatanatyam, there's no shortcut. If you want to stick to the classical frame, you have to practice. So we tell, there are so many kids, who come to our class. They pick up quickly and they move forward quickly in their lessons. So some children finish earlier, the basics get over earlier than other children. But yeah, I don't think there's a shortcut for this. And see, if we do that, the art form will get diluted, I feel. But on the other hand, I will say that today's youth, they have very, very innovative ideas. Some things that we even can't think of. Like I say, I teach in Jain University, the MA students, and every year they have to do a production, that is Natyam. According to the Natya Shastra, they're supposed to have the Sutradharas coming in, introducing the the theme, and then you have the character introductions, and then I mean, maybe behind the terrain, whatever. Each time they come up, it's a different thing. And they do a production with the whole class coming in together in such a way that everybody gets equal roles. They have to choose a theme like that. If there are 16 people, they will choose a theme which will give equal importance to 16 people. If there are only 8 or 9 people, they will choose a theme like that. So the kind of productions they come up with and the kind of innovative ideas they come up with, it's really a lot of learning for me, for us teachers who are teaching them, because they are very, very innovative. At the same time, they're they all like fast food.
Yeah.
That's the flip side of it. But I would say they are much more creative ideas. They have much more innovative ideas than what we would have had at their age, even now for that matter.
Okay.
So, but this same creative ideas, if it is given the, the depth that it needs,
The discipline and the foundation.
Discipline, yes, foundation and the depth that it needs to be given, then
it would be even more.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yes.
So, in terms of the duration of somebody becoming an expert in Bharatanatyam, what is the kind of years that one has to put in?
Expert as in?
To be on stage. So these days, whatever I have seen of Bharatanatyam, a solo dancer on the stage performing for 2 hours continuously, with all the Margam that you specified, tirelessly, and also enthralling the audience. Can she or he hold the audience to 2 hours of performance, being single on the stage? That kind of an expert.
That's what. That depends on how much Satvika you have inside. Meaning how much of emotions you're going to you're able to give to take the audience with you.
How much of years of practice does that require?
See, actually, let me tell you something. All our Indian classical art forms mature with age, because it is not just what you learn in class that affects your performance. It is also the life. Life makes your art mature. You learn the basics, you learn the art form, the techniques of the art form, all the Abhinayas, inclusive everything. I keep saying the Narayana Hari Govinda, which you have learned, you know that, which you have learned from ma'am. The Narayana Hari Govinda, you see yourself as a 13 or 15-year-old perform Narayana Hari Govinda, that composition. When you become 30, when you do the same Narayana Hari, the feel itself is different. Right? Because there's more understanding of the subject, there's more understanding of what the Sahitya has. That is because the life also teaches you. And it's only our Indian classical art forms that will mature. Even if you have given up dancing for a while, it matures inside you. Because you already have it in you, that matures with the experience of life. So, like my Bhanu ma'am would say, at 33, it's only after 30s that your Satvika will blossom. See, we would watch Kalanidhi Mami, Kalanidhi Narayanan. She is a legendary Abhinaya exponent of Bharatanatyam. She would just sit in one place and do Abhinaya. We could watch her for hours together. There was no getting up and running around and dancing around. That's because her Satvika is so strong. Because that feeling, emotion inside her is so strong that it reaches the person who is watching, and they both together merge and come on the same plane. That is the actual purpose of our art.
Okay.
It is how you understand the subject. Yes, of course. First, it is to attract the Sahridayas. The Aharya is there. The music is there. And then, of course, the Angika is there. Okay, that is first level. Then it is to entertain. Entertain is when they start understanding what you do. The next level is to transcend. That is, when somebody is watching you, they will once they start once they are attracted to what you're doing, and once they start understanding what you're doing, they forget everything around them at that point in time, and they transcend to a different level. At that point, the dancer also and the audience also, they meet.
Yeah, or on the same plane.
They are on the same plane. So only when the dancer gets to that level, he or she will be able to take the audience also to that level, and that is to from transcend from attraction to entertainment to transcend to elevation is the purpose of our art form, for which the Natya Veda was formed by
Right,
them.
right. So going back to the same subject, so that means spirituality is the base of the dance.
Absolutely.
Base of the Natya Shastra.
Yes, and Bharatanatyam draws from the music composers of the Bhakti movement and all the other, the trinities. So base of our, the music base of our Bharatanatyam art form is from all these people who, who are totally spiritually elevated.
So when you said the Satvikam has to be there in the dancer.
Yes.
The Satvikam means that divine feeling of, or the spiritually elevated person.
No. Satvika is the emotion that you feel inside. Abhinaya is nothing but replicating what is there in the world. Right? I mean, so you are not yourself at that point. When you're doing a role of somebody, you are not there. Right? And you are merged with the character. Actually, I forgot what you asked. I'm sorry, I did that.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. So what I meant to ask is Satvika the behavior or the attitude of the dancer, Satvika, that is the spiritual elevation that she or he feels.
She feels, yes. The Satvika is in, the emotion that makes you forget yourself and go to another level, right? Out of you, that is. And when you go out, that's when they also will be able to come out. If you are within yourself, they'll also not have any connect.
Right. The connect is important.
Connect is very important.
So, spirituality for me in the sense is you're connecting to the source.
Yes.
That is the ultimate.
Yes.
So, if I, as a dancer, connect to the source and emote that subject, what is there, do you think that is when the audience also tries to connect to the source?
Yes.
Is that
that's necessary.
Okay.
That's necessary. You forget yourself. You merge yourself, whether you are doing the Purandara Dasa's Kirtane, you become the poet and you become the characters that are in the poem. You are not you. So when you do that, people get a picture of what you are doing. They will not see you. They'll see the Purandara Dasa talking about that Krishna who did all these things. They'll be able to get, though there is only you on stage, the picture they get is of Krishna. The picture they get when you do lift a Govardhanagiri, they'll be able to see a Govardhanagiri there. They'll be able to see the rains there. So they are also not with themselves. They are out of that and, they are one with that. So, that is what Satvika will be able to create in you and the Sagradayas.
So most of these performances that people see on the stage are all based on our Puranic stories, either the Ramayana, Mahabharata. What I have seen is that people struggle to find relevance in today's world. The relevance of these stories. Whenever a dancer is trying to convey let's say the example that you gave, Govardhanagiri, Krishna lifted that mountain, and so one might ask, okay, what is in it for me today? Nobody is there like that to come and protect us.
Correct.
That kind of an emotion. Okay, Krishna did this at certain point in time. That's it. That's about it. Krishna will not come today and protect me from rain.
Yes,
So
yes.
that relevance is not there.
Yes.
So how do you
So our scriptures are what they say. It's for the concept that you have to understand them. It's not about somebody able to lift Govardhanagiri or somebody putting Kalinga down. It's about the shunning of the ego. Ego is inside you. When he lifted Govardhanagiri, it was to show that Indra cannot have his ego and go do the things that he wants his way to trouble the people. So they are all what they say. There's a word for it. I'm not getting that word. You're supposed to derive the essence through these stories.
Stories.
The stories are made colorful so that you can remember. But it's the essence or the moral of these stories that you're supposed to take with you. It's not about him. Like people say, if Krishna can have 16,000 wives, why can't I have 2 wives?
Correct.
You are not Krishna. You
Right.
can't lift Govardhanagiri.
Right.
That's what I say.
Right.
So it's not about what he did or what she did. It's about the moral or the essence of these scriptures with which we are supposed to, the ideals of these scriptures which we are supposed to take and incorporate it into our lives to follow the path of dharma.
Okay. And in the same way, you can, like you said, in the Margam, you can also use the current day themes also to make it relevant.
Yes. For example, now we did one production called Sandesha. It was a yaksha. It was a the theme was of a messenger, where in Kalidasa's Meghaduta, the cloud becomes the messenger between one yaksha who was separated from his yakshini. And then there was another theme where Nala and Damayanti, they only heard of each other, they don't know, they have never met, and then there is this and they only want to see each other, and just by the description of each other by others, they fall in love, and then they want to meet each other, for which this Hamsa, the swan, golden swan, goes as a messenger. This is nothing to do with God or...
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying Bharatanatyam has that vast scope to show anything.
Right.
So the cloud messenger also could be shown, the swan messenger also could be shown, all through our Bharatanatyam format. So that's the reason I said, even now we've even seen people do computers. We're just using this to show computers, you see this, and then you do this. So everything is shown because it has that kind of a scope, I feel.
Okay. So now let me get back to the role of a guru. Now you said at the age of, I think 9, when you had shifted to Bangalore, and then 1 year you went to the rigorous training of one particular teacher, who was very strict, and so from that you wanted to stop dance because of that.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
You wanted to stop dance. I have seen many of young children actually go through that phase.
Yeah.
Because a particular teacher was very, very
harsh,
very, very harsh and rigid. They can't even question anything.
Yeah.
They can't ask, why should I do Aramandi? But there I feel, because a certain person is in a certain way, the whole art gets a beating. They say that, okay, Bharatanatyam is military. You can't, that's how they train you.
Yes.
So they say, go try another different form. Somebody is interested in Bharatanatyam, but the person who is teaching it becomes so rigid, and it is actually like a military kind of a training, and then the person loses interest in it. So whatever I have sort of the subject which somebody wants to learn is hated later by the same person because of the guru.
Yeah, that's, I think, a sad part of it. But earlier days, like when there was Gurukula system and all that, it was like you have no choice. You have to learn under that person. And then later on, when it was, our ma'am's generation, they had a choice to go to the teacher that they wanted. The parents would allow them to, you don't like this teacher, okay, go to that other teacher. But now the parents, I feel, are a lot of parents are quite fussy about the kids, saying, oh, she's got leg pain, oh, she's got knee pain. And probably you can't totally reject their pleas, because I feel kids today also are not as strong as physically as we were, and we were not physically as strong as our teachers were. So I think we have to go with the trend and try to understand the children. Earlier teachers wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, even the parents, they say go means go.
Yeah.
That is how we all have been. And I mean, we all means, see, my parents have been like that, like, you better go. But then afterwards, I had a choice. Like, they say, you don't want to go? Okay, don't go. We'll look for another teacher. Okay, but yeah, I think that kind of understanding needs to be there, because especially nowadays, children, they're very intelligent, they're very sensitive. So I think as teachers, a bit going towards the children is necessary nowadays to get the best out of them.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel that.
Okay.
And also when you see a good bunch of children, some children will be good in one aspect, some other children will be good in some other aspect. Try to bring the best.
Right.
Even when we do Arangetrams, that's what I believe in. Like so many schools, you will see every Arangetram will be very similar. That chapa will be this girl is from this teacher. But in our school, what we do is we allow the personality of the child to also go along with the dance.
I'll come to the Arangetram part, ma'am.
Yeah.
But before that, you changed your teacher from to Guru Bhanumati. How was that change? You have had a journey with Guru Bhanumati for more than 40 years. And Guru Bhanumati is known to be a pioneer in many things in the field of Bharatanatyam. So, can you describe her journey to the audience?
Like the very first time I saw her, I think it was just like a magnet. Her personality was like that, like very magnetic personality, that once if you see her, you want to keep going back to her. That was the kind of personality, because it was from a phase that I said, why should I even learn dancing? Why are you guys forcing me? Athara idde nanu manenalli. Hangirpekadre, when I saw Bhanu ma'am, like I wanted to go. I didn't want to miss a class. It was like I want to learn under her. That was the kind of personality. It's the sattva that was there in her, I would say, that made people, how she was able to connect to people. And that happened to me when I was hardly 13. So it was like a immediate connect with her. I'm sure all her students would have felt that.
Yeah.
The minute you see her, you feel a connect with her. That's the kind of personality she is. And that's because of her sattva, I would say. And I was with her, and the first, I joined in 1980 or so. I was with her, and she was doing a lot of solo programs at that point. I got to watch a lot of her solo programs, from which I imbibed a lot. In fact, I tell all the kids today also, watch a lot of dances. Only when you watch, you will learn how to do and how not to do, both. That's what Bhanu ma'am always believed in. When you watch a performance, even though quote unquote, you might term it a very bad performance, you still can pick some good elements in that. You will still see some good, unique things in that artist.
Or ideas.
Which you can learn from.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of learning she would give us. And then until you perfect one aspect of whatever she has taught, she wouldn't move into another one. At the same time, she was very open to the questions that you would ask, not like
Other
you know
teachers.
the strict teachers that we have seen also, very open to questions. And with her I spent about 7 years before my marriage, and during which I saw a lot of her solo programs. And some of her solo programs, she included me and 2 or 3 or more of my batchmates. So in between her solo programs, we would do small items in between, where she would go for a dress change and get back and all that. 1987, I I went to the Gurukula, you can call, because I got married and went in there. She was not married. She remained unmarried.
Guru Bhanumati ma'am's brother.
I got married to Guru Bhanumati's brother, and we all lived together. And then I had a break when I had my children. I had a break of about maybe 5-6 years in between, where I thought, okay, my dance is gone. My dance has come. I don't think I can dance anymore, was the feeling I used to get. When Bhanu ma'am literally pulled me out of it, and that was when Bharatanjali started. By then, there were about 5 or 6 of us.
What is Bharatanjali?
I'll tell you. But there were about 5 or 6 of us whom Bhanu ma'am felt were good and were capable of doing solo programs. At the same time, we couldn't afford a Ranga Pravesha. Some 5 or 6 of us in the beginning of 90s. So she felt all these children, they are doing so well, but they cannot afford to do a Ranga Pravesha, which was so important back then to, get programs to go on stage. Ranga Pravesha was very important, whether in Kannada and culture, whether in Sangeet and Nritya Academy, or any other forum you want to perform. Have you done your Ranga Pravesha? Was very important back then, which all of us couldn't afford. So we were some 6 or 7 of us around the same age range who couldn't afford a Ranga Pravesha. So she collected all of us and formed this group called Bharatanjali, and she started doing group choreography, which was like the pioneering venture by Bhanu ma'am. Nobody had done group choreography like Bhanu ma'am did. With the she always believed in symmetry, and it was somewhat like Rangoli patterns, along with the emotions that were there in that composition. She would make the group do the whole thing.
So she was bringing back the Natya aspect into it, actually.
Natya nakinta, it was more like the pindis. They what is called in pindis in Natya Shastra.
Okay.
They're the group aspect.
Okay.
Natya is the drama.
Drama aspect. No, but even in group you can perform dance dramas.
But dance dramas, according to Natya Shastra, would be along with the
costume.
Aharyas.
Okay.
This was Ekaharya. So Ekaharya means just one costume, but you represent all the characters in the same costume through your Angika and Satvika.
Got it.
So some of us who couldn't afford, like she brought us together, and you all deserve to go on stage, so let us form this group. And then the Bharatanjali started, and that kind of I think by now more than in the last, how many years now? Almost close to 30 years. We must have done more than 2,000 shows. Bharatanjali, that group. But the group is changing constantly because in the 90s it was my generation. The group had girls of my generation, and then the next generation, and then my daughter's generation, and then now even younger ones are there as part of Bharatanjali. So that was the first time in the 90s that this group choreography, for which the HRD ministry also gave her a fellowship
Nice.
for this group choreography.
Hmm.
And then that was in the 90s. And for the first time, the Bharatanjali traveled to the UK in 1997. And then to the US in 1999. And then again 2004 and all that. And then she's also doing workshops wherein I would assist her to teach in the workshops. And then maybe then the Arangetrams are also going on at that point. And in 1999 she got recognized for the Karnataka Kalashri Award. And then in 2000 she got the Rajyotsava Award. And then later on, I think somewhere in the 2000s, 2004, somewhere there, she said, Sheela, from now on you do the Arangetram training. So from then on, I started doing the Arangetram training. By then, I had slowly come out of Bharatanjali because the next generation of Bharatanjali girls were performing by then. And then later on, she introduced me to, whatever I am today, it's because of what she is running of the school. And
so Rangapravesham and Arangetram both being the same.
It's Tamil word and a
Kannada word. Rangapravesham and Arangetram. So she innovated and pioneered on a group choreography to sort of balance out the aspiration of you 7 people.
That is one aspect. Another aspect is when people would approach her for a program, approach the school when she was there in the 90s. Madam, namಗೊಂದು dance program ಬೇಕು. ಭರತನಾಟ್ಯ ಬೇಡ madam. So that solo format Bharatanatyam, like you say, was kind of losing its luster or whatever. That's she felt. And then she felt it needs,
a revival
kind of a thing. That's when she felt maybe, if you put a group, it'll be more attractive.
Okay. That was
that's the reason she put a group, but at the same time she stuck to the purest form of Bharatanatyam.
Nice.
So that's how it was her contribution for Bharatanatyam, for people to get more attracted to Bharatanatyam through the group format and keeping the purity of the tradition.
Okay. Nice. So what exactly is a Rangapravesham?
Rangapravesham,
is it the first time going on stage, or what is it? Because people, whatever I have seen, they're confused about what is it. If first time somebody going on the stage, they call it as Rangapravesham.
I think the purpose has changed a lot over the years now. Earlier, I would say in my teachers' days, Rangapravesha will be the debut performance when you ascend the stage for the first time in life. That is after your, the basic training of Adavus or the steps, and then the Margam, wherein you go from Alaripu to Varnam to Tilana, the Abhinayas, in between. And the purpose was to introduce to the art field that this dancer is ready to take on any professional solo Bharatanatyam performances.
Okay.
That was the purpose back then. And that would be really the first time they would go on stage, when before going on stage, they would do a Gejje Puja. Where they, like they do Aksharabhyasa for the little children, they put rice on the, in a plate and make the child write I first with the finger. Similarly, they would put rice or, that nell bhatta on the floor and make them do, tie the teacher would tie the gejje on her feet, legs, and then they would make the first step go on the bhatta. And then at that Gejje Puja time, they will call all the musicians who are going to sing for her, and she will, they'll be, given the feast, and then the child will dance.
Okay.
First time with the Gejje on that nell. And then next step would be to go on stage. So
Okay.
this was to tell the public that this, or public or the dance field, that this child or this dancer is ready to take on solo performances.
Okay.
That was supposed to be the purpose.
Hmm.
Now it is not that.
Hmm. Now it has changed too.
It has changed for very funny reasons actually.
Yeah, please go on.
And a lot of parents, when they come to say, I want my child to do Bharatanatyam, your Arangetram, we would say, no, she's still not ready. She's still only 15. Let her, No, a lot of children, they're very, even at the age of 8, they're able to, hold the audiences on with their solo programs. But it's not the same. The pratibha, the talent, that is God given.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why I said art chooses artists.
Correct.
It's God given.
Right.
So God has not given equally to everybody, right?
Yes.
So some children are able to hold the audiences at a younger age, but some children need little more time. So when we say no, she needs a little more time, the reason they would say is, no, maybe next year she will go away abroad. Avagella online irliಲ್ಲ. She will go away abroad for studies, so we want to do an Arangetram.
So it has become more of a milestone. That
Yes.
I have.
Yes. Then some others, they will say, no, if she does an Arangetram, you give a certificate that will hold good for her credentials to get into an university. Some people will say, no, her party has been asking, she is very ill. She wants to see the grandchild dance, so please let us do. I mean, you can't even say no to such reasons, because the lifestyle is now different. It's not like before. So probably, I don't know whether to say it's right or wrong.
So we spoke about Chidambaram and the essence of spirituality and all that. From that to what is happening today. So do you think it is going in the right direction?
Purpose is
The
purpose of Arangetram is actually, I would say, a little diluted only.
Okay.
But I feel there are more number of youths coming into this art form than before. Because earlier there were no, take myself for example, when I said in my 10th standard, I said, I don't want, anyway I found Bhanumati ma'am, I will continue dance, I don't want to study further.
Okay.
10th I wanted to do that. But my parents said, no, you have to do a graduation. You have to do a graduation, look for a job, keep dance as a hobby. But now it's not difficult to make dance a career, is what I feel.
Okay.
Because now you have so many universities now who have, in my days there was only one university, there was no I wanted to do if and I told after 10th, if there is a course to do in dance, I will take up that. But there were no courses in dance back then. Now soon after 12th you can get into a PG course. You have BA in dance, you have MA in dance. And once you have a, do well in this masters, there are so many openings now. There are so many schools and there are so many art institutions which employ you. And you can make a career out of it.
Okay.
If not anything, you can start a class of your own, because there are more number of people getting into this dance field.
So in the sense, teaching becomes more of a career option, more of teaching?
Teaching is more safer and steadier option to earn than performing.
Yeah.
If you want to be a performer, be a teacher. You earn through the teaching and then you spend in the performance.
Yeah, because
that's how it is. And until you make it big and
right,
you you have a name.
Correct. So that's what I wanted to ask. The next question was performing whatever you have learned doesn't fetch you that much materially in terms of money. Is that correct? Is that?
I mean, there's a lot of expenses for a dancer.
Yeah.
Because a dancer is not alone. He he or she is so dependent on so many things, right from the light technician, the stage, sound, musicians
Yeah.
mainly.
Yeah. So, what I meant also
And we
to
pay everybody. The dancer has
right.
to
Yeah.
pay everybody.
There is a lot
So
of money
there's a
involved
lot
in
of expenses involved.
involved.
Yes.
So people who want you to perform, is there good money that is they offer to the entire group that you can actually do such a performance today?
See, there are nice forums like Kannada and Culture and government forums. They pay you very well actually.
Okay.
But for that, we need to really know people,
Ah.
the right person to contact when you can get a program. You have to know
use
how
your
to move papers.
Yeah.
For that, if you appoint a secretary or somebody who can do that,
Yeah.
because that takes more time.
Yeah.
And people like us, we would rather practice and do more creative
Yeah.
work than go and spend
Right.
your time in the government offices. They
Right.
pay well.
Yeah. Okay.
And there are some other national level forums like this I think Khajuraho, they are also actually government only. Purana Kila of Delhi, Khajuraho, Konark festivals, and these national level festivals, they pay well. But when you go to these private smaller forums, they don't pay enough, or they ask you for a free program, or worse off, they even ask you to pay and perform.
Oh, even the corporates?
Not corporates.
Okay.
Not corporates. I mean the forums, the dance so-called forums.
Okay.
There are so many of such forums who ask you to pay and perform.
Okay.
That's the saddest part. And our teacher, she was very, strict about that, in the sense a dancer should never pay and perform. It's like you're selling your art.
Yeah.
I mean, you're degrading your art.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So pay and perform culture is now quite rampant.
Okay.
Ivaga nane, I'll tell you, somewhere they call you, and in some forums they call you and say, "Madam, you have to give a performance. Please bring your group." Okay. So will you take care of our travel and expense? No, madam. But we will honor you. You pay us so much, we'll honor you.
Okay.
We'll give you an award. We'll give you a title. These are the wrong practices that are going on. I say, okay, I don't need a title. I don't need an award. If you are not paying, because our culture is to pay the artists who perform professionally.
Right. Yeah.
Ma'am has never taken a free performance by anybody.
Right.
She always used to pay. And when we have to pay the artists, unless the organizer pays, where will you pay the artists?
Yeah.
And there are teachers I know also who actually collect money from the students and performers and go and give it to the organizer and perform. That is happening.
Okay.
But no, I wouldn't encourage that.
Okay.
See, pay and perform is very bad. Free program, okay, in temples as an offering, it's fine. But there are some temples which we are performing regularly, even they pay. So why shouldn't the so-called dance and music forums pay you? I think the artist should refuse to dance if you are not paid, at least your expense of travel and stay and food. At least that much they should take.
Yeah, at least the logistics has to be taken.
Minimum.
Yeah.
In fact, they should pay.
Yeah. Right.
For the performance that you're going to give them.
Correct. Yeah.
I think artists, the younger ones, they should flatly refuse to pay and perform.
Nice.
But what's happening is the parents want to see their children perform. So when the teachers say, "Itara performance bandide, ನೀವು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೋ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ."
So they gladly give, because they want to see them on stage. Yeah.
It's like degrading your own art.
Right. So currently, again, I'll go back to the essence of the transfer of dance from the Kailasa to the Bhuloka and the essence of the spirituality and all that. In the current times, is that continuing? Are the students able to imbibe that essence? Or how does the future look like?
Our future is no problem only.
Okay.
Dance has stayed for 2000 years
Right.
on its own.
Okay.
You and me have not tried to preserve it, right?
Hmm.
It has gotten preserved
Hmm.
in the 2000 years.
Hmm.
But it's ever evolving.
Hmm.
And change is the constant in life itself. It has applied to our dance also.
Hmm. Hmm.
So there have been changes. In fact, Natya Shastradalle, Bharata himself has said,
Hmm.
the dance should evolve according to the times and society.
Hmm.
He himself has quoted that
Hmm.
2000 years ago.
Hmm.
And that is happening is what I feel.
Hmm.
Yeah, there is a bit of dilution happening.
In the essence?
Huh?
In the essence of it?
Essence also because, like they say, we were just talking, no? The content
Yeah.
is missing. The packaging is superb.
Hmm.
But the content is not as deep.
Right.
So that's why what we have to do is to read a lot.
Yeah.
Read our scriptures.
Right.
To understand the essence. Read.
Hmm.
To read so that you can go more deeper into the content.
Hmm.
Because packaging is something that is coming naturally for everybody. உலகம் புகழும் நாட்டிய கலையை உயிரா மதித்தே வாழ்ந்திடு ஓம். Let us think of this art form dance as our life and learn this dance form is what it says. It says நிலையா அதனால் அழகும் வளரும் சிலைமேனி குறையாமல் வலிமை தரும். It says Nilaya Adanal. Because of this learning of this art form, Nilaya means steadily. Because of that, Alagum Valarum. Alagum means beauty. It just doesn't mean outer beauty. It means the inner beauty as well. So the inner beauty, outer beauty, everything, Valarum, it grows. Shilaimeni Kureyamal. You will not become weak, whereas instead it will give you strength. This is what it says. And then it also goes on to say, Maasundrum illada. How wide a scope our art form has to show all kinds of subjects to touch upon that. This line says, Maasundrum illada arinyarayum nalla madi kondu munnerum kalainarayum. So it says Maasundrum even without a single black mark. The big the Gnanis and the Panditas, even they can be shown. Nalla madikondu munnerum, with good thought, good intention, those who progress, such artists. And Kasilla Talvayum Ghanavangal Vayum means those who are needy and in poverty, and those who are prosperous, well off. All these things, Kaiyalum Kannalum Vilakum Kalai. It means to show with your hands, through your hands, through your eyes. Why eyes? Because eyes is the mirror of your soul. So through your eyes you can show your thoughts. So through your body and through your thoughts, through the eyes, you can show all these things through this medium of Bharatanatyam. So this is a very special composition done by my teacher's teacher. This should give a lot of inspiration to people to learn dance.